What up, well, DJ on the mic? What coming in with another banger? We're gonna get prepared for BT21 up in this business, and I know you guys been blowing on my comment feed saying, "Yo, where the WarGreymon profile at? Yo, Dread, come on, man!" And guys, you know me, I gotta cook before I deliver, and I'm gonna make sure that all the flavors just right, seasonings like Salt Bay and all the good stuff. So what I'm proud to present is WarGreymon, baby. You already know what it is. And one thing I am enjoying about WarGreymon is just how much it can do what it's good at, but be very versatile in terms of what the meta's doing and how we can kind of combat that being the main thing. I'm gonna keep it a buck, you know. WarGreymon could just lose to itself outright. If you can't see the line, you're up shit creek. You're paddling and you're getting all shit in your face, and that's never nice at all. So in this video, I'm gonna go over you my list that I took to my locals, 15 player locals, managed to come 5th with the original list, but then adapting my learnings and kind of refine that list a little bit further, ensuring that when you take this list to wherever you're going to take it, you're going to feel comfortable and you're going to feel reassured. So if this is the video for you, make sure you sit down, grab a seat, grab a drink. I'm going to go you through all the strats and the good stuff and my methodology of creating the list. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications bell, because I do videos on the reg for real. So title cards, you already know what to do. Let's get on with it. Okay, let's go into the eggs. Starting off with a solid 4, and it is going to be the BT9 Coromon. Yes, I do value the DP more than the draw, just because when I am pushing out, I should have all the pieces in order for me to actually do what I need to be doing. But if you do want to run the draw egg, you can certainly run the draw egg. There's definitely not a problem there, but I do value that extra DP whilst I'm in Greymon or Agumon in name. So that concludes for the eggs. Going on then to the rookies. Rookies, obviously we've got to have our searches to get our pieces, so we do run the BT12 Agumon at 4. This is just crucial for us to obviously grab our line as well as our tamer, being the Davis right there. I think the searchers probably need a bit of an upgrade in regards to what they can search, because sometimes you can just obviously just get 1, or you know, hit the jackpot and you'll be able to get 2. But 9 times out of 10 you are kind of getting the 1, unfortunately. But the inevitable is all turns, and you do get an additional 1000 DP if you have got Greymon or Omnimon in name, which is fantastic. Then we complement that search with the additional Agumon X antibody, BT9. This is once again just facilitates us getting more pieces as well as our X antibody option, which is very crucial. On top of that, it really helps with us getting additional protections with our inheritables. And then lastly, we run the 3 of the BT14 Agumon, which is just helpful for, once again, that DP boost, so additional 2k, huge. The starter main probably doesn't come up as often, but when it does, we do have a card that can affect us net to memory. But it means that if you have a tamer out on field, you can evo into a Greymon for free, which is absolutely fantastic. But 9 times out of 10, you will not be getting this off. But that concludes it there for the rookies. Now let's go over to champions. Champions, obviously for us, it is where our main aggression kind of comes from. So we do run the 4 starter deck Greymon, which is just really powerful. That security attack +1 comes up huge. It means that effectively we can clear out the opponent's security pretty fast if they have an unsuspended Digimon out. Then we supplement that up with a Greymon from BT5. So this is the one where effectively we once again get an additional 2000 DP if we are Greymon or Omnimon in name, which half our line is. But we do get that Wind Revolving effect, is that if we evo on top of an Agumon, we can gain a memory. So obviously combination with the BT14 Agumon, which you can evo for free. If you evo into this, effectively you're netting a memory and also getting a good draw, which is always great. Then we combo up with X antibody variant. So we do run the 2 BT9 Greymon X antibody. This is once again that inevitable is so powerful in order for us to essentially prevent us from being deleted or bot decked or bounced, which is huge. We can sack 2 of the same level Digimon in our stack, which is once again really helpful for us to add a bit of stickiness on the board, which is always welcomed. And then we complement that up with the 1 of, and that is going to be our BT11 WarGreymon X antibody. The reason why this is just so strong is because it's another layer of protection, but obviously for us, it's enabling us to bot deck our X antibody option from our source to the bottom of the deck to prevent it from leaving, which is huge. And then it does have your turn is that when you evo into essentially a metal Greymon, depending on how many colors it got, you can reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So 9 times out of 10, if we are going into our Greymon with dual colors, we can evo for the cost of 1. And obviously, if we go into a single color, it's reducing it by 1 there as well. So evo for 2. Very powerful with these ratios, and it's mainly important. The reason why I've lent more towards having more non-X antibody versions because they are just really strong in their own right, and if you can just obviously, you need to ensure that you see them and then evo into your X variant to just obviously certify your line. Then going over to the ultimate, so ultimates core player right here is going to be your BT12 Metal Greymon. This is such a powerful Greymon because it does have raid, which enables us to effectively control board at a lower our ultimates, as well as the all turns is that when attack target is switched, you may play 1 black or red Tamer for a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the cost, which is pretty cool, especially with when we do have X antibody, we can trigger the sequencing in order for us to get that off and then evo into our Metal Greymon X, which we do run that at a solid 3 there. So 3-3. These are your main kind of game makers right here. Because this, when digivolving as a standard, it will give you additional security attack. So obviously with our starter deck Greymon, and then this, we're going to be swinging for 3 checks. And if we do have our WarGrey, which effectively unsuspends and swings again, we're going to be doing 6 checks in total, which is fantastic. And then on top of that, if you do have X antibody or even on top of a Metal Greymon, you do gain an additional 3000 DP to the end of the opponent's turn, which comes up a fair bit. Then the tech options are going to be the promo Metal Greymon Artorias mode. This is really strong because 1, we can evo on top of a Greymon for the cost of 3, which is absolutely fantastic, or we can evo on top of a Metal Greymon for 0, and this also counts as a Metal Greymon, which is really strong. Its inheritables, once again, really powerful because it adds us another layer of protection at our ultimate line. And then on top of that, we can delete up to, well, we can delete a 5k DP or less Digimon if we have to. But the thing I love doing with this is essentially evoing on top of this, evo into this, then this, then this. Really works nice when you are building up a very fortified stack in order for you to have quite a few layers of protection when you are obviously at your top end. Then we go in with the BT11 Metal Greymon X antibody. This is really strong in this meta just because the Digivolve protection is powerful. Also the minus DP protection also valued there as well. This came up real clutch at my locals because it really just prevented the opponent from actually commence with their game plan, because we just had that immunity and also that Digivolve protection. The Digivolve is absolutely rife and really annoying. You don't want your stat to be Digivolve because that's how they kind of get around like your protections and so forth. Also, the inheritable is pretty nice there as well, is that when we unsuspend on the opponent's turn, we're able to trash the top card of their security stack, which when we do have WarGreymon that essentially reboots, effectively that's where that would kick in. So very strong right here. On top of that, if we do happen to evo on top of a Metal Grey or have X antibody in our source, we can pop a 6k DP or less Digimon on the opponent's side. So really comes up clutch. These two, very good toolbox, but these are your main game makers in order for you to do really heavy damage when we go to our megas. Speaking of megas, let's call them out. We go in with the BT12 WarGrey, which we do run that at 3. Such a very powerful card in order for you to once again control the field and put the opponent in a very awkward predicament, because we do have the obviously our inheritables that give us that nice bit of protection, really powerful protection in this current meta, obviously deletion and also being bounced or bottom decked. It puts the opponent in an awkward situation when you happen to raid into them, because realistically, yes, they could blast evo, but they're not going to essentially remove the body. Possibly they could suspend us again, but 9 times out of 10 we're going to be doing big damage and getting that memory and getting the absolute value. So that's where raid is very powerful. Also, it does get around partition as well, which is nice. And then on top of that, really great into 7 Great Demon Lords, because basically if they're deleted by battle, they can't tuck underneath the egg, which is strong. It does have a when Digirolving effect, is that you're able to gain 3000 DP and reboot to the end of the opponent's turn, which is once again very strong. It means that we can basically stand back up and be an absolute menace. And it does have an all turns, is that when an attack target is switched, unsuspend this Digimon. So effectively it can block twice if it does have blocker gained from the tie, which is obviously part of our game plan. So very strong card here. Then we complement it up with the BT21 WarGreymon. This is just your main aggressor card. Fantastic when you got X antibody underneath and just really pushing damage. It does evo for 4, so obviously take that in mind, but we do have ways to essentially gain memory back and to reduce the evo cost. It does have a when Digirolving, is that it gains raid for the turn, and then this Digimon may attack, being the thing. Obviously you can choose not to attack, it's completely up to you if you've managed to keep turn, but if you're not kept turn, it's obviously going to be kind of like your pseudo blitz. Then when attacking, if you have a tamer, this Digimon gains security attack +1 and piercing for the turn, which is not once per turn, so you can do some pretty cool shenanigans if you do happen to have Omnimon X antibody there as well. You can essentially grant this rush and swing, and it means that if it's already swung again, effectively it will get an additional security check. Really funky play, doesn't come off that often, but I did manage to pull it off on the sim one time, which was pretty nutty. But a very fantastic card and really can add that heavy aggression. If you do have X antibody in your source, this is where our WarGreymon X antibody comes in and once again facilitates more damage but getting memory back, because it does have an all turns, is that when your opponent's security cards are removed from, you gain the memory. This is not once per turn, so depending on how much security checks you do have, you're going to be getting some awesome memory refund, which is great. It does have an end of attack. If you do happen to evo on top of your WarGreymon or have X antibody in stack, you're able to delete a Digimon with equal or less DP than this. Obviously we've got amazing DP gains that we are going to be having in our stack, so it gives you free reign in order to further control the field and delete whatever Digimon that they have out. Very strong card. Let's just combo that up with the level 7. So we do run the 2 Omnimon X antibodies from the new set. This is what makes this deck super viable now, because it is an Omni X abuser. Really easy to pull this off in WarGreymon, because most of the time you're going to have X antibodies, so it's just kind of like your board clear, bot deck removal, and then on top of that ensures that you can get another swing in. It's just such a powerful card. I am tempted to bump this up to 3. I just need to essentially get a third Omnimon X, but we do run as a nice little kind of tech pseudo option here. We do run the one of the Agumon Bond of Bravery Ace. This just ensures that we can obviously just have essentially a little bit of a line of play if we do want to delete up to a combination of 14,000 DP, or actually DP equal to this. So depending on obviously our DP thresholds that we do have, which are still lingering onto the opponent's turn, we can literally just do a massive board clear if required. And on top of that, we can actually just throw this down and delete up to 14k's worth of Digimon, which is always welcome. You just have a nice little clutch when attacking effect. It is once per turn. While you have a tamer, trust your opponent's top security card. So this can be quite an aggressive card in order for you to kind of claim game quite easily, which is nice. It's completely up to you in terms of its application, but I just still value having this out, or having this in the deck, just in order for me to have another line of play if I'm kind of bricking a little bit. But 9 times out of 10 I probably will increase this, just because how much this is a facilitator and absolutely brings this deck into the meta for real. Do not sleep on WarGreymon. Then let's go over now to the options. Options obviously key to have some consistency in the list. So we do run the red memory boosts. Funny story, I actually ran garnet boosts like an absolute idiot. I was like, this whole list has got red. There's no need for garnet boosts right here. So red memory boosts, obviously getting that dig 4 is vital for us to obviously claim some pieces. Nothing's worse than bricking with WarGreymon, and then that banking 2 memory really comes up clutch in order for you to facilitate your plays and so forth. We do run the one-off scramble. Originally I did have this at 2, but I felt like it wasn't as effective. in comparison to essentially having an additional X antibody. I felt like I needed X antibody more than the scrambles, but the scramble does come up quite nicely. When it's Sugar Plum security, you'll be able to play out a red Digimon with 2000 DP or less from trash, which is always nice. And obviously for us, for scramble, obviously reducing that Evo cost by 3, which is great. So effectively you Evo into a Digimon for the cost of 2, which is fantastic. And then for us to kind of get out a core piece from our trash and put it on top of our deck, which for us is probably going to be getting that Omni if it does happen to be insecurity and so forth. So red scramble is nice, but I had to increase the count on the X antibodies because X antibody is just such a powerful card in this list. It facilitates a lot of plays, adds to our nice little bit of protection, prop from security. It does gain us a memory and add to our hand. It's just very powerful. We've got ways to search it out, so why not have it in the list? Omnimon X antibody, once again, absolutely abuses this card and Evo into it. Even though you're going to be passing over a lot of memory, you're going to be just absolutely obliterating their board, which is exactly what you want. Then we run the option of the infamous Hades Nuts. So Hades Force is a great card. Absolutely powerful card, especially in this meta as well. The fact that a lot of Digimon do have immunity to Digimon effects, they don't have an immunity to freaking Hades Nuts. So Hades is really strong because it is a 7 cost if you don't have X antibody in your source, but if you do have X antibody in your source, you can reduce the cost by 2. I mean, that's going to be costing you 5 to throw this down. You're able to delete the same play cost as your Greymon in name totals worth, and that includes Tamers and Digimon. So 9 times out of 10 we are going to be pretty much, when we are going to be using this, it's going to be when we are at our WarGreymon. So that's going to be a 12 play cost, so we can literally obliterate the opponent's backline if you need to, because we are going to that meta where Tamers is going to be quite reliant. I mean, Tamers at the moment are quite reliant as they are, and I feel like what this deck is really good at is interacting with those Tamers. And I personally, I don't own a deck that is good at Tamer disruption, so this is why Hades is really fantastic. On top of that, after you've done all that, your Digimon with Greymon in name can attack, which is really good because it means that we can focus on that back line whilst then killing off their front line with our WarGreymon, obviously trigger raid, all the fun stuff. On top of that, its security effect is able to delete the opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. So once again, menacing, and this has come up quite a few times in security. Even if it's the one-off, when that one-off hits, it just hits different. So definitely value the Hades. Wouldn't run it more than 2 in all honesty, because you know, to get the maximum value you have to be at your top end, and sometimes it can be a little bit bricky. Now going over to the Tamers. So Tamers is quite a hard one with a WarGreymon, because ideally you can either go fully aggressive and lean towards the ties, or you can do what I've done here is go with more utility. So I'm going in with the Yuya at 2. The reason why I do like Yuya is because it adds a different layer of protection that no other Tamer is doing at the moment. No other Tamer protects you from options if you've evoed into the same level, and obviously our deck specializes in that. On top of that, if we just evo into a Digimon, we can gain additional 2000 DP to the end of the opponent's turn, meaning that we're just increasing that DP threshold in order for us to be more resilient, or make it a lot more awkward for the opponent to actually delete us if they're trying to delete us based on DP. And it is a memory setter, which memory setter we like because we don't like being choked at all. So very strong card. Obviously it's not searchable, you know, I can read it does not say tie on it, but because we draw a lot whilst going up our line, we'll probably draw into Yuya and be absolutely fine. And if it's prop from security, then you know, an added bonus. Then we run the free Tamers from BT12. I really like this card. It is very strong. Granted, it's not a cool boy. It's not a cool boy. Cool boy is great in order for you to have that bit of consistency and so forth, and add a bit of draw power and memory gain. But the reason why I do like this is because it gives our Digimon blocker, and that's what we want to be doing. When we're at our top end, we obviously have reboot. We're gonna have a way to give our WarGrey blocker. Obviously, when we're at our Omnimon, we have blocker anyway, which is fine. So that reboot is getting fully utilized. But if we don't happen to evo into our Omnimon X, this is where Tamers comes in, because it is able to start main, able to give one of your Digimon blocker and 1000 DP to the end of the turn. So in combination with these two, you can get up to additional 3000 DP to the end of the opponent's turn, and we can also possibly get some nice option protection as well. Option protection is actually pretty useful because when I was facing off with 7 Great Demon Lords, you know, Biting Crush is annoying. With WarGreymon coming back into the meta, Biting Crush is just so freaking annoying. And then we do have Medusumon that does also have an option to delete the highest, I think it's highest level or highest DP Digimon on the field. So for us, Yuya comes in and, you know, steps on business. On top of that, this also, if we evo into a Digimon with Greymon, we are able to gain the memory, which is beautiful right there, because we do want to be gaining that memory in order for us to reduce that cost, be memory efficient and so forth. So if we don't happen to have a memory set about, at least we do have our Taikami that can be reducing evo cost there as well, and that does also apply to our Omnimons as there too. So very strong. Obviously you can run Cool Boys if you want to, there's no judgment on that at all. It's obviously you build the list how you want to build the list, but I do like Taikami just because we are able to just get that blocker. Blocker is crucial. It ensures that the opponent has you know, not an option to go and swing and do damage to us, because sometimes we are going to be pretty much on the back foot. So when we come out and maybe we can't kill in that turn, it means that we've actually solidified our board and making it very problematic for the opponent to kind of walk all over us. But guys, there's a list. Hope you enjoy, and if you like it, smash me a like. And there you have it, guys. WarGreymon laid out, ready for you to tweak and amend to your playstyle. So what do I think to WarGrey and its place in BT21? So the reason why I obviously took WarGrey into, you know, further development and really kind of wanted to test it and just give it a chance being thing, because one that the reason why I do like WarGrey is the fact that it has options to kind of combat the meta. It has options in order for us to use to kind of get around that immunity that we're currently facing at the moment. It feels like everyone and their dog has some form of Digimon immunity, but there's no one that can avoid option immunity, and that's where Hades does come up quite nice. Granted, it does require us to have a WarGreymon out of high play cost in order for us to fully utilize that, but the fact that we have that option and can still a freaking attack is huge, real huge. Having some form of tamer interaction in the next format is going to be massive. Obviously, we do have the new adventure decks that are going to be coming out, which are very tamer reliant. There's a lot of decks that are already currently existing, which are very tamer reliant. Like, obviously, we have decks that effectively end of turn, suspend this tamer to do X. The fact that we can literally just obliterate that back line while still obliterate their front line is huge for WarGreymon to do what it's doing and still do big damage, being the thing. Access to Omnimon X antibody is just freaking huge. That card is just a freaking powerhouse. The fact that we can just obliterate a board, bot deck a Digimon that we've selected, and still do our thing is massive. We have piercing, we can still go in and raid into something if required. It's just huge. I think WarGreymon's sitting in a pretty good spot. Obviously, we can't ignore the fact that sometimes the deck will just lose to itself. If you don't have the right line, unfortunately, it's just not sitting that great. For me, I don't like pushing out with any form of stack unless I've actually got the line to do stuff. But there might just be situations where the opponent will just be faster than you, and you will just have to react with something. Being the thing, and you may just have to top deck a card right there. There is plenty of situations where I have been in that exact situation where it's awful, and unfortunately you are going to take the L. There is obviously a kind of an OTK variant that you can go down, and it, by all means, definitely go down if you believe that is the direction that you should go down. For me personally, the way WarGreymon is at the moment, I just don't know if it is that good to go down the OTK route for long tournament play. If I was going to choose WarGreymon OTK in a freaking 7-rounder, I just don't think I'd be able to pull that off consistently, being the thing, and I just want to make sure that I've got a good matchup spread to go into any form of game and be like, I've got good odds here. Like, that's what I don't feel like. I have good odds. I don't want to feel like, oh god, yeah, they've got literally out to my one trick pony. I'm cooked. In that sense, I like to feel comfortable and just execute my game plan whilst controlling their game plan. Being the thing. This is the reason why I do like WarGreymon BT12 is that I'm controlling what they're doing. I'm actually getting benefit if they go out there and just sit there unsuspended. I'm like, cool, gonna abuse that. Gonna get a ton of DP. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get an additional 6k DP from my when digital effects from WarGreymon X Antibody, not WarGrey, Metal Greymon X Antibody, and then I'll WarGreymon by 6k, and then whatever my heritables are. Even if they plan to ace and do something, either they're gonna try and pop me or bottom deck me, which that won't happen because I'll just trash one of my sources, which is fine. And then I'm just going to go and just get overflow X, which is fantastic for us right there. We eat it. But obviously for us, it's matters getting to our top end and able to execute that being the thing. And that's always been a WarGreymon thing. Sometimes we just don't get there quick enough. And if we do, we might get a bit hard punished. But in terms of its protections, additional support from Omnimon X Antibody, I think WarGrey is sitting in a very good spot for the next format, so do not sleep on this deck for real. One, I want to take time just to thank the person, you wouldn't know who you are, in the comments who was really when I WarGreymon in the comments. I couldn't thank you enough. I wouldn't even touch this if without you look into this, and now it's definitely going to be a mainstay on the channel, so make sure you stick around for that. And if you are a WarGreymon stan, subscribe. Now let's keep the vibe popping. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, smash it with a like as standard. Stay safe, stay fly, and I'll catch you next one. That's your boy D Dread, off the mic.